The importance of it. It's a wonderful book, and it proves the fact that if you do nothing at all and you love the Lord can work things out for you. And we can base the book on that Psalm 46, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And God is saying that to the heathen nations, and the literal wording of that is, "Let go and let God." Yeah. And the book of Esther is all about letting go and letting God work things out for you. Here we are, Esther 2 and verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, "Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. Let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, into custody of Hegi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti." And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan the palace, where there was a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjaminite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with captivity, which he had been carried away with Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, that many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought unto him, the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. And Esther had not showed her people, neither her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women in the house to know how Esther did, and what should become of her. Now when every maid's turn was come to going to the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to it 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odours, with other things for the purifying of the women. Then thus came every maiden into the king, whosoever she desired was given to her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she was called by name. Now when the turn of Esther, the king of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to join unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the woman, appointed. And Esther obtained favour in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto the king, unto King Ahasuerus, into his royal house in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained great favour in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head, and made her queen in place of Vashti. And then it talks about the great feast. Then chapter 4 and famous verse there, verse 14. Verse 14 says, "But if you altogether hold your peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house shall be destroyed. And who knows whether you are come to the kingdom for such a time as this.
Amen.
And one translation says, who knows, but you have come and received kingdom position
Amen.
for such a time as this.
Yes.
If you listen to scholars, of course, who will tell you that the book of Esther is unique in that the name of God is never mentioned in it. But I want to go against the experts and tell you they are wrong. There's two books in the Old Testament where the name of God is not mentioned. One is Esther and the other is Solomon's Song. And so we need to get that right to begin with. But the book is all about the providence of God. It shows you that even no prayers are offered, God will still work out his plan and purpose in our life.
Yes. Amen. Come on now.
It reveals to you that as ordinary people of God, we can become extraordinary. And under the guidance of our King, and our King, friends, is not Azarus, but under the guidance of our King Jesus, we can be those that cover up other people's mistakes. Well, that is exactly what Vashti did. That's what Esther did. Vashti failed, the crown was removed, and Esther is seen wearing the crown that belonged to another. And I want to record this morning for all of you. One day we shall all wear a crown that belong to another.
Yes, come on.
You must remember, he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And if you cast your crown at his feet, he will give you a crown.
Come on.
And he will bless you and help you and meet your needs in such a wonderful way.
Jesus, hallelujah.
The providence of God is a wonderful thing because as I open this book, I see it like a chessboard. You see, it's the biography of Esther, not written by Esther, but written by God. And as I read it and I've read over it, I wondered if anybody had to write, and I have written a book on my life, by the way, if anybody had to write a book on your life, particularly God, what would he write in it?
Amen.
Jesus.
I've got a sermon that's percolating at the moment, and it's called Extending Your Dream.
Hallelujah.
And it's the story of Genesis 22, where Abraham had a dream, and that dream was in Isaac. And yet God said to Abraham, I want you to kill Isaac. I want you to kill the dream. And yet because he was willing to surrender his dream to God,
Jesus.
that dream lives on in the New Testament.
Jesus, hallelujah.
The dream of Abraham is in you and you and you and you and you. That dream is in all of us.
Amen.
Because a man wanted to expand his dream. I've often said, the church should be like Manchester United football ground, the theatre of dreams.
Amen.
The place where you can dream dreams. And here we have a couple here particularly that are dreaming dreams about this place.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
And we want to join with them and dream
Come on.
something with them.
Amen.
But like a chessboard, it's there, and you can see God moving the pawns. You can see God making a move. And I want to remind you, there is a wicked Haman that's in this world.
Come on.
And he thinks he's got it all worked out. He thinks you're dead. He thinks you're going to give up. He thinks you're going to get tired. He thinks you're going to get weary. He thinks you're going to say, enough's enough. I've had enough of all this. But I want to tell you this. Not only is there a Haman, but there's also a hangman. Not only is there a gallows, but right through the pages, right through the verses, you'll find there is a cross.
Hallelujah.
And it's a cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. I want to be a place in God where if I don't do anything, God will say, okay. And sometimes when you're ill, the only thing you can do is look up. And that's a great place to be in. Because you can't do it. And God has to do it. It's like that £10 note at my feet. I don't think it was me that threw it there, because Mom will tell you I'm a Yorkshireman and we don't do that. So it's either somebody else or God that's done that. But God does say give, and I put my tithe because when I fellowship with people, I tithe with those people.
Amen.
My tithe has gone in there, and I don't know whether God was returning me, but he was giving me what I gave in the tithe. It was more than that, Lord. And I don't think God gets things wrong. I think he's right all the time. But in Esther, we have a marvelous illustration of all of us. Because you see, she was condemned. Oh yes, she was. She belonged to a people of captivity.
That's right.
And yet God brought her out of that captivity
Hallelujah, Jesus.
into the beautiful experience of the life of the son, of daughter of the living God. In the book you'll find the pathway seems to lead to the edge of the cliff, where the Jewish nation are going to be cast over the edge of the cliff. But because of the providence of God, the path gets right to the edge and it turns sharply left to the palace. And that's the story of all of us, condemned to die, condemned to lie, condemned to be frustrated, condemned to be without faith, condemned to have no hope, condemned to let our sunset while it is still day. But you know, I read a verse in the New Testament, there is now therefore no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus. And I am in Christ Jesus.
Amen.
And so there is no condemnation to me. And I thank God that I've allowed God to take over and do what he wants to do. Because after all, at the end of life, you know, when you come to the end, it's not simply to meet the undertaker. But at the end of the life of your life, it will not be what you've got in the bank. It will not be what you put into the offering bag.
Amen.
But it'll be what you've allowed Christ to put into your heart and into your life.
Jesus.
But I don't want to remain in condemnation. I want to go towards the crown. She was an orphan. So she was. If I had to take you an time this morning, if you've got me 3 hours, I'll take you through the book of Romans, chapter 8 and 9 and 7, that tell you all about adoption. How we people have been adopted, and we are waiting for the final act in adoption. And the final act in adoption, you went before the elders, and the final act was, if Denise adopted me, she probably wouldn't want to, but she'd take a man's clothes, she'd take mine off, and she'd put these new clothes on me, and that's a resurrection body, and that's what's going to happen to us in the Lord Jesus Christ. We're adopted.
Thank you, Lord.
The lovely thing about adoption, you know, is choice. Esther was called and chosen. You know, natural children, they were born, I know saying what my mum and dad did, but oh, with adoption it's so different. We chose you, we chose you, we chose you, and God, friends, has not only chosen us, he's birthed us. We've got the double application, we've been born again, and also we've been adopted. And that's what, oh, hallelujah. Pastor Bill's getting loosened up, look. Ties off. With the coat up next. Keep going, Terry, just till I want myself a little bit more. Hallelujah. Adoption. What a wonderful thing, you know, that we're adopted into the family of God.
Yeah, thank you.
We are family. We are family. We're more than friends.
Yes.
We're more than fellowship.
Come on.
We are family, and Esther, of course, was adopted. And bless God, she realised that who she was and what she was, but once the king met with her, it all changed. We shall tell you this on good authority, that when she was crowned and the crown went on her head, her name was written in the book of life.
Hallelujah.
I don't mean the Lamb's book of life, because every city, and including this city, Shushan, it had a book of life, a bit like our register of birth, deaths, and marriages. And once you were born, once you became the queen, your name went into the book of life.
Amen.
Because through the king like us, here's another point for you. It's all in here. She received citizenship.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Hallelujah. Citizenship for you that have been born in England doesn't mean a thing. You were born in England, you go abroad, you have all the rights. But you get somebody who comes in as a foreigner.
Amen.
I've met people who've had to go through a process.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Teresa
Amen.
who's had to make
Amen.
application.
Amen.
They said, can you speak English? If you're a doctor, can you fulfill this? It's a whole rigmarole of
Amen.
things for you to get into the country. But now, different if you're a citizen. I know this morning. I'm not trying to get into the country. I'm in it.
Hallelujah.
I'm not trying to be a citizen. I am a citizen of heaven.
Amen.
I like what in the New Testament it writes, Paul writes, I write to the believers in Corinth. I write to the believers in Thessalonica. I write to the believers in Rome. Moffat translates it, I am writing to the colony of heaven. Oh,
Hallelujah,
in essence,
Jesus.
you are the colony
Yes.
of heaven. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
Esther, where does this fellow get his facts from? She had a change of name. Yes, in verse 7, She's called, yes, by one name, but the moment she's crowned, the moment she's in the presence of the king, she's given a new name. Oh, hallelujah. Margaret says she doesn't like the old Terry, but she loves the new Terry.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
But here it is. I'm going to turn back. It's not often I turn back to the scriptures, is it? But it mentions the fact that she was called by another name. And he brought up Adassa, myrtle. Myrtle. The Romans used it to make laurel wreaths of. Evergreen. Myrtle. An earthly shrub that grew. But her name was changed to Esther. Venus. The next brightest things to the sun. Wow. So one, friends, she was a growing thing, but when she comes to the king, she becomes a shining thing.
Oh, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. As he is in the light,
Amen.
so you're in the light, and walk as children of light, and let that new nature of Christ express itself through you. You become as a planet, become as one that people can take a reading from. And all this ties in with the lovely promise to Abraham. Your seed shall be like the sand of the seashore.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if you've not got a shoreline, and some countries haven't, okay, I'll include you, the stars of heaven. She became a star. She became one that was crowned. She became one that was acknowledged. She became one that was beautified because Venus is the goddess of love. It's beauty, graciousness, and wonderfulness. And it's all in the Word of God, pointing out the fact that when we come into His presence, I've sometimes come in with a crown of thorns, though very often, bruised, ignored. But I've come out with a crown of gold.
Yes, thank you, Lord. Yes.
I'm not talking about a little crown. I don't look over the sea of people this morning and say, oh yes, you've got, like the old margarine advert. He used to say, which lady is eating the margarine? And a crown used to appear, do you remember? A crown used to appear on the woman's head. Because she ate a certain butter or margarine. Years ago this advert was. But I will tell you this, the Statue of Liberty in America wears a crown.
Amen.
And through the presence of God, through coming into, not House of Zerus, but in the presence of Jesus Christ, we have come into liberty.
Yes, thank you, Lord. Yes.
That Statue of Liberty was fashioned on his mother, actually, the man who created it. And on her head is a crown. And our liberty has been when we go into the presence of God, and God speaks to us and tells us things. I don't know, I'm looking around because I can't see the clock in this place. Oh, I've turned my glass eye to it.
Carry on.
Yeah. So, all those things are ours in Jesus Christ. I'm not talking about little crowns, I'm talking about the glory of God comes upon you.
Jesus.
Yes.
I'm talking about like when we're building the tabernacle. It says that the women had to bring the curtains. Right? Wove them, coloured them, beautiful. And when they built the temple, the women brought the curtains. And women this morning, you ladies, you've brought the curtains. I don't mean you're pretty dressed, and pretty it is. I don't mean you're pretty, no. I mean the moment you will stand to your feet and begin to praise God, you start hanging the curtains. This place becomes the tabernacle. The Shekinah of God is let loose here.
Amen.
And in fact, the next best thing to a halo, a real thing is the halo. The real thing is the crown.
Amen.
When I hear somebody rise to their feet and say, thank you, Father, you brought me through a difficult week. Oh, shabba.
Come on, Alex.
Crown.
Come on, preachers.
Crowned. For this book, Esther, the Jews celebrate Purim. P-U-R-M, simple as that. Purim. It means help.
Yes.
It's telling you that God helped Israel. When we have communion, we don't have it so often. A good thing we don't actually, because we've turned wafer and watered wine into something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a ceremony,
That's right.
It's set out for us like the Purim. You see, in the Christian faith, we've got things that are exactly alongside what the Jews teach and believe. We have our scroll, we do.
Hallelujah.
And it's all set out for us. And when the communion is set out, it's our Purim. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the eternal. What we're doing with the second kingdom is saying, okay, resurrection, we know that, and crucifixion. He helped me.
Hallelujah.
He
Yes.
helped me. That's why years ago, in some of the royal parks in London, where there were big ponds and they used to freeze over, they used to have people stationed from the royal household. They were called helps. And if you fell in, they fell in with you. And they lifted you out. That's why in the New Testament, the most underrated, Ken, you're one of these, the most underrated thing in the New Testament church, gifts of the Spirit, all right, words of wisdom, words of knowledge, apostles, prophets, but what about helps?
Yes, amen.
Well, when are we going to acclaim that, and here, this place is full of people helping one another. But back to the Purim, they have this celebration of Esther, of when God helped them. Have you tried to add up how many times God has helped you?
Yes.
Jesus.
He helped me there, he helped me there, he helped me there, he helped me there,
Jesus.
he helped me there. That's why so many times, God's helped us so much. If you're in a real difficult position, in fact, I know one fellow said, you can only pray standing up in the church. Until one day he fell down a well. And the brambles caught his foot, and upside down he shouted, help. You see, when we come to a crisis, we use one-word prayers. That's right.
Jesus.
Big, strong men in the army get shot to pieces. Mummy! Daddy! That's all they shout, one word.
Oh, no.
It's Abba Father, which if you spell it backwards and forwards, it's still Abba. Our Father, who's helped us so much, who's enriched us, who's blessed us in such a wonderful way. To say that you've got a crown on your head is to say, like Esther, you've got praise in your life. Because the crown was really the praise of the king. It's different. The engagement ring just got bigger now. Ladies don't get ideas. He's not going to take you home and stop buying you a crown. Unless it's half a crown. Give you one of those. But see, because he was affluent, he could afford it. And she had the deportment to be able to carry this. In doing so, she saved the nation. Can I appeal to you this morning? I know time's going, but stop praying about yourselves, your little toenail. Don't do it.
Jesus.
Stop praying about me and mine and us and no, I don't feel. Stop it, please, stop it. Think of the nation in which we live, where every 8 seconds somebody now commits suicide.
Jesus. Jesus.
Think about abortion, where birds lay eggs and now it's against the law to steal an egg, but it's not against the law to kill a child.
Jesus. Jesus.
That's the nation that we live in.
Yes.
Can't understand the mentality. I cannot, friends, that an older person, I cannot understand how they can talk on breakfast television, discussing women that have had miscarriages, which we all sympathise with them. And they say now they want to, if they have a miscarriage, they want to give the child a name. They want to have a little ceremony. That's fine, that's beautiful. But don't they understand that when they've aborted a child and they've given it no history, nothing at all with it, it doesn't matter. But it does matter.
Yes.
Amen.
Because I'll tell you, every aborted child, in my opinion, is registered with God.
Yes.
They might not put its name in the book of life. Oh, but God does. They might not think it's worth, and let me tell you, I come from a family of 9 boys. If abortion had been in place, I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that now. I wouldn't be here at all. Because they would have seen to me, our nation, a put on Facebook this morning, Brexit. It's got this little hut of some fellow putting nails in, and this there's nails this side. And one says, "What do we do down here?" No, it's at the bottom. He says, "No, it's at the top." No, it's at the right. All this stuff. And they tell, "Will you vote for us and trust us with your nation?" I will not.
No.
I will not. I will not. Esther knew what it was to bring freedom and release to a nation.
Yes.
And if as a nation we're going to have revival, it's not going to come from the Archbishop of Canterbury, who, by the way, secretly ordains gays ministers without you knowing it. It will not come through some clergyman, some clever professor who says, "Well, when it comes to this, it doesn't mean..." No. If England's going to be saved, it's going to be saved by us.
Yeah.
It's going to be saved by people who love their God, who the Word of God says in Daniel, "And they shall do exploits."
Hallelujah.
We've got to wake up.
Hallelujah.
Next time I preach, I'm going to preach on that. Extending your dream.
Oh, Jesus.
Because nowhere am I going to keep coming to this church or any church, sing a few choruses, and go home. That's not Terry Atkinson. I've been a bit quiet this last 2 weeks, so I'm not being well. But that's not me. I've been in third gear, and I want to be in the overdrive.
Amen.
Yes, you haven't got to fettle me kettle. The same Yorkshire. To get me on the boil again. So that when I come to pray, people say to me, "Oh, I don't know what to pray about." You don't. I get bored. Yeah, because you're boring, that's why. Buy a newspaper, get the Manchester, whatever they call it. Well, or the morning news, or the noonday news, whichever it is. And just spread it out and get pleading for people.
Yes.
Get the spirit of John Knox. Give me echoes.
Yes.
Or I die.
Come on, glory. Come on now.
Go from condemnation via the cross, because as the scepter was held out, right throughout this book, the cross is held out to you. The promises of God are held out to all of us, so we might receive them, so we might believe them, and so God, save our nation.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
Because remember this, in saving your nation, you will save your grandchildren.
Yes. Come on now.
Your great-grandchildren.
Yes. Yes.
So I conclude, let me remind you that things are bad now. Somebody told me 20 years from now, they'll make it law so you can marry an animal. Are you listening? You'll be marrying horses and dogs and cats and... They're like that in America. Have you seen in America them getting married, dogs too, all this stuff? It's on its way. But you know, one thankful thing is, and I'm going to finish with this, I'm going to leave you all shortly. Not too long, I don't know how long, but I'm going to leave you all to it. So what I'm trying to do is put something good
Hallelujah,
to
Jesus.
young folk,
Hallelujah.
so you'll stand up and be counted. I did say I was finished, I am, but I must tell you this. 4 years ago, they had a baker's shop in Northern Ireland.
That's right.
A gay man went in and said, "Bake me a cake." Fair enough, I'll bake you a cake. But I want you to put on it, support gay marriage. This fellow in Ireland had a crown, an Esther.
Yes, he did.
I'm not going to. 4 years it's gone through court, 4 years right through opposition, difficulty. Churches have prayed, I've prayed, we've prayed, we've all prayed. You're like Esther. Because the crown, remember, symbolises victory. We've had the victory.
Yes.
And you know, one thing I like about it, last Wednesday, you talk about leap over the bed. I would do it, my back won't let me. You know, talk about rejoice. Oh, by the way, Bill, on that main carpet where you mentioned, we'll allow tears as well as water on it. Yeah. I wanted to just to cry. Because what it's done now, friends, it's told them, you call them LBGTXYZ, you can call them what you want. It's told them they can't totally get away with things. And they thought they could. And I tell you, stone walls are a bit broken this morning, but they'll rise again. You keep living the Lord and go from condemnation to the ground.
Hallelujah.